Hey, so this is the long-awaited Cubeshape tutorial vid. I know I've been saying for like 6 months that it's going to be done at the end of this week, but I finally got around to finishing it. With this method, the maximum number of twists you'll need is 7, I believe, which is maximum number you should ever need, even if you're doing optimal. And I can average between 3 and 4 seconds for Cubeshape with this method, so it's pretty good. There's not a lot to learn, and it's pretty intuitive once it finally clicks, I guess. I'm going to assume that you already know how to do group corners, or at least group edges method. If you don't, there'll be a link in the description to Emil's Square-1 tutorial, where he has a really good tutorial for group edges. Yeah. There are a few cases that you need to learn to do optimally before you can really start with the general method. One of them you need to learn just because it absolutely sucks if you don't know how to do it optimally. And then the others you need to learn because they're so nice optimally that it'd be stupid to do them any other way. So I'm going to start with the easy ones and then come back to the hard one. The first shape is called a kite barrel. What you're going to do for this one is you want to line up the kite so you're splitting it along its axis of symmetry, and then the barrel, you can do it either this way or this way. It'll end up, either way you do it, it'll end up going into fist, whichever way you split it. So do that, and then it's all fist like you normally would. Next one is called muffin square. What you want to do is you want to I always put the square so it's flush with this piece, and then you want to line up the muffin so that you're bringing down a line from the muffin, and when you're bringing these two pieces up, it makes a fist, and then you solve fist like normal. The next shape is muffin. You want to line this one up so that both the top of the muffins are either in the front or the back, and you want to split it so you have 2 pieces on one side and 2 pieces on the other, and that will slice into barrel, and then you just solve that like usual. The next one is called paw. There's a paw on top, paw on bottom. There are 2 versions of this case. There's a good one and a bad one. It's not really bad, but it's not as good. The way you can tell if you have this case is the same as fist, where if you view them directly from the top and bottom, they'll be mirrors of each other. And then if you line them up like this, they'll line up perfectly if you view them from above. And you want to line them up like this, where you have the V on one side and the edge group on the other side for both top and bottom. And you want to slice, and that goes into fist. The next one is shield square. It's more or less the same as muffin square, where I line up the square so it's flush, and then I make sure whatever 2 pieces I bring up make a fist, and so then you just have fist. The next case is called shield. The way I do this one is, I guess you could say each shield has a point, and I set it up so there's a point right here and a point right here. So when you slice, it'll go into barrel. Next one is scallop, which you should already know if you know the group edges method. You just put them both together cut them through the middle to get barrel. That's it. The last shape, and the one that is going to be most important for this method, is kite scallop. Is pretty much what my entire method is based around. Maybe, I don't know, 70% of the time I end up going through this shape somehow. So I need to learn how to do this one. It's really simple. You just line up the kite and the scallop along the symmetrical axes and just slice, and it goes into kite, or fist, sorry. Let me solve that. I would recommend learning how to do it from all angles, with kite on top from either the front or the back, and then kite on bottom from either the front or the back. Just like put those into muscle memory, it'll work out a lot better in the long run. Alright, this is the really bad one. It's called kite square. It's the only shape that requires 7 twists if you do it optimally. You want to set it up so the square's lined up and you're bringing the line down on the kite, and that way you're going to go into opposite fists, and you solve opposite fists by bringing the 2 pairs into a shield, and you have kite on bottom, and you're going to turn this kite into a square by bringing this split pair up, rotating and putting it back down, and you have just have a shield square. Okay, so I just have some random cube shaped case here, and first thing you want to do is make a scallop the easiest way possible. And a scallop is just a group of 4 edges. It doesn't really matter what else is attached to it. Alright, and once you have your scallop, the other 4 edges are going to be split up into 2 pairs of 2, and there are 3 different cases for each of those pairs. This is the first one, it's just called a line. This is the second, it's called a split pair. And the last one is just called a pair. Okay, the general idea with this method is to preserve your scallop while making the other 4 edges into a kite on the opposite side. There are a couple ways to do this. Generally I like to go through this shape, which I call a hatchet. There are 3 different cases for that. I'm going to show you those right now. First one is where you have a hatchet on top and a pair on the bottom. And what you want to do is you want to set it up so you're bringing your scallop on the opposite face, and you want to put the pair over here so when you slice it forms a kite on top, and then you just do kite scallop. The next case is where you have a hatchet on one side and then a split pair on the other. And what you want to do here is you're going to bring the scallop down, and then you're going to set up the 2 split pairs so that when you slice they form a kite, and then you just do kite scallop. The last case is where you have a hatchet on one side and a line on the other. And what you want to do here is you're going to bring the line up and attach it to the scallop, and that way, and you're going to bring a split pair down, and that way you keep hatchet on one side and then you have split pair on the other, so you can do the split pair hatchet case. Alright, if you make your scallop and you don't have hatchet, just look and see if you have either a split pair or a line, and whichever is easier, just attach it onto the scallop in order to get a hatchet, and then do whatever case you have. The exception of this is if you make your scallop and none of the other 2 are either a split pair or a line. What you do is you just bring them together to make another scallop, and then do scallop.